Next time, make me the host. I need to call her.
We're live.
We're live?
Yeah.
How do you know we're live? Oh, there it is. It says live. Okay, great. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today. I have here a good friend and a wiser partner. His name is Omer from CyberUnit. We're going to talk about something really cool today that me and Omer were talking about actually a few days ago. And I told him, hey, we have to sort of get online here and talk about this. So Omer has an MSP, and he optimized a lot of the processes that he's got going using AI. So we're going to hopefully share some of the things that Omer did today with the audience. So you guys, even if you're not an MSP, I think there's some really cool things, Omer, that you guys did that I think that can really help many organizations that are running IT shops, whether they are an MSP or just, an organization that is running internally their own IT. Okay, so that was actually too much introduction. Omer, I'll let you sort of introduce yourself, a little bit about CyberUnit, and then I'll go ahead and start shooting some questions your way.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Omer Segoly. I run, like Abby said, an MSP called CyberUnit, and we're based in Vancouver, in Canada. I've been in the space since 2009. My current company, CyberUnit, has been around for some time. It's kind of an iteration of another company that I owned and kind of merged the two companies together. So technically, we've been around since 2013. We service clients all across Canada and the US, mostly smaller businesses, and our focus for quite some time, I think a lot of MSPs have been shifting their focus to cybersecurity over the last 3-4 years naturally, but we've been focused on security for quite some time, and we've been working with Wiser for God, how long has it been, Gabby?
You were one of the first, I think, right? Like almost 5 years, I think, something like that.
I remember doing an interview with you. Actually, I was interviewing you during COVID when the world was coming to an end and we didn't know if we're going to be alive.
You thought about AI back then, right? Like,
yeah, it's crazy. So much has happened, just in the last few weeks, and I'd love to get into it. Yeah, our AI journey, kind of officially at CyberUnit started 2 years ago. And yeah,
what triggered that? Let's start with that. Like, what happened 2 years ago where you were like, I think we need to do something?
Yeah, I had like an aha moment shortly after, but 2 years ago. So for MSPs, IT companies, a lot of service-based companies, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and you want to inform your clients about it. And so naturally what we do, and I think a lot of MSPs do the same thing, is once a month we send out a monthly report to all our clients that kind of pulls data from a bunch of different systems that we use, mostly around security, and presents the data to our clients in a meaningful way, and kind of shows them the trends and the things that we're seeing and the attacks that are coming through, what type of attacks, how do we compare this period to previous periods, and so on. This is a process that we've followed for quite some time, for a few years, and it's gotten better and better over time. But as we grew the company, and we're not massive by all means, but as we've grown, we found that the process is just taking so much of our time. It got to a point 2 years ago where it was taking one of my staff members about a day. Sometimes she would say a day. I think it was more of a day and a half, because it also involved a few other people coming in and kind of helping out. And so a day and a half of manual processing for an IT company is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah,
I'm sure you agree that. So 2 years ago, I hired a guy that was a self-proclaimed Microsoft Power Automate expert. This is before AI blew up, and AI was already around. We were using, I think, ChatGPT 2.5 at the time. It was, I don't know if you remember, but it was pretty crappy. Like it was incredible for the time, but a lot of like hallucinations, and the context was terrible, and it couldn't really hold a conversation for very long. So it wasn't even really a thought to maybe develop it with AI. And this guy claimed that it was somebody that I knew that was looking for a job, and claimed that he was really good at what he was doing. And his job was to come in and do a few other things in the company as well. But his primary focus was initially to help us automate the monthly report process that was taking a day and a half, and ideally get us to a point where it's a few clicks and just like magic, it goes out. So
go ahead. No, just to summarize. So basically, the fact that you were relatively small, I think that maybe pushed you into that direction, right? Like that was a necessity because, like you said, creating that report is something that I guess a lot of MSPs are doing, and I think IT shops internally should also do, because they want to show maybe their the C-level, like, okay, what are you guys doing, right? So you're consolidating those reports. And where do you, so before we go to the AI automations, like give me an example of what a report like that will look like why does it take a day and a half, and what's the result of that report?
So it's pulling data from different systems that we use, Wiser being one of them. For example, we use Wiser heavily for security awareness training. And so, we do a lot of training throughout the year, and we do phishing simulations, and we want to take that information and now package it in a way that has, first of all, a branding, but it's also not just pure data. It's actually meaningful data and presentation that anyone, from the least technical people to the most technical people in the client's organization could like fully understand.
But that's just Wiser. I think when we spoke last
Wiser,
there's tickets, there are security events that may have happened. Like what does that summary report looks like?
So it's pulling data from a bunch of different systems. Wiser, a ticketing system, timesheet management system, the various attack vectors that we help protect and monitor for our clients. So anything from firewalls to email security to endpoint security, all of those systems that we use provide us with an abundance of data, but the trick is to take that data and make it meaningful for your clients. And that's something that we've gotten better and better at doing. But we found initially that taking, CSV files from various different systems and, compiling it and making it, into like a nice presentation with, graphs and charts was something that would take time. There was a bit of automation at the time, but it was very time consuming. We had to do it in a way that would essentially produce like separated PDF files for each one of our clients. And we would then take those files and send them out to our clients. And of course, there was a lot of quality assurance needed as well, because there was some manual processing. And the biggest nightmare for me would be like sending a client the wrong report.
So it's something that, again, my guess is that a lot of MSPs need to do if they don't do, because customers don't necessarily know what you guys are doing, right? So you want to have this summary once a month or once a week of what we've done. And that takes a lot of time because, like you said, you have to pull those CSVs. So you need somebody also technical. And not only that, it's a process that you need to document, right? Like, it's not that someone else can now come and do it, because you have to train them on how to go to that system, where are the CSVs located, how to bring them into some kind of database, how to format, like not just the work, but also the documentation of the process that requires to do that. Meaning, if that person is no longer around, you're stuck. That's sort of my guess. Yeah. So basically, being nimble and small at the time, you were like, how can we now automate that? And back then it was the beginning of AI. So what was the first thing that was done? When was the aha moment? So you brought that person in.
Okay, so yeah, there's a bit more to the story before the aha moment. Okay. So this person worked on this for about 4 to 5 months. Okay. During that time, he would tell me that
that was before Claude, guys. This we're talking about early ChatGPT days.
It's old school, 2.5. So He would work on it, during the month, amongst a few other things that he would do. And then at the end of each month, he would send out the monthly report and then come back to me and tell me that it's going really well and it's getting a lot better. About 5 months in, I pulled him aside and I said, okay, I'd like to take a look at this process with you to understand like how you're doing it. Because just like you said, Gabby, if this person gets hit by a bus one day, I need somebody else to be able to take over right away, or wins the lottery. Doesn't have to get hit by a bus. And so I had a close look at what he's come up with, and I was absolutely disappointed and shocked. It went from 1.5 days to 2 days. So it actually made the process longer and more complicated. And I just couldn't believe it that after all this time, with all the claims that he had about his abilities to automate with Power Automate, this is what we ended up with. So needless to say, this person was no longer with us a few days later. And at that point, at that point, I decided that it's time to take it on myself, because I've had other people, in the past tell me, hey, I can help you here, I can do this for you, and things, don't always work out the way you think they would. And so this is, at that moment, I had a bit of time, and I decided that it was something that I was going to take ownership over myself. And so I started talking to ChatGPT and trying to see like what solutions out there, maybe off the shelf solutions that I could utilize. And there were some, and I started looking at them. But one of the options that was thrown at me was actually writing some scripts, some Python scripts, and automating it with Python. And at the time, I wasn't much of a programmer. I actually started off my career as a programmer. I used to be really into it back in the day, but it had been quite a few years, and I never thought I'd get back into it. Being where I am today, but I decided to just have a go at it. And I used at the time I was using Cursor. Obviously, they're still very popular and around. So this is like 1.5 years ago. Cursor with whatever the iteration of ChatGPT that there was at the time. I'm using Claude heavily now. I use Claude Code, but I started off with ChatGPT. I think many of us have. And I started writing Python scripts, and within a few weeks, I had a working script that would essentially aggregate all the data, pull all the data for me, package it all into very good looking output PDF files, and would actually send the emails out securely to the client and provide some information, some reports and logs based on exactly what happened, and if there were any bounce backs and that type of stuff. And that was the aha moment for me.
And did the customers realize that, by the way, or was something they were clueless about?
They should. Yeah, and they didn't realize it. There was no reason for them, and the output was very similar to the output we had previously. So not a lot of change at that point, but the delivery and the processing and the data aggregation behind the scenes, that's all on our end. And to my knowledge, the clients didn't realize it, and nor should they have.
Did you end up doing more of that? So like if the cadence was once a month, did it go down for like once a week, or you just kept it as is?
We still do. So at the time, we kept it at once a month. We still do it once a month. We find, our clients get so much. Everybody's dealing with so much noise in their mailbox. We like to keep it to once a month. But we actually, I then went on to write another script with AI that would help us with our cybersecurity assessment process that would also consume quite a lot of time. We conduct assessments for our clients, and then the part I find that is very consuming is actually processing the information and into deliverable reports. The deliverable reports, those PDFs that we like to send out, so that anyone at the client's executive team and so on could see and understand exactly what's happening in their organization. That process to compile the reports would take a long time from another person that at the time actually left our company, and so I thought that would be a perfect next step and way for us to utilize those scripting abilities that we now have that we didn't have a few months earlier. So I ended up automating that, and then I ended up with essentially a few scripts like that were great. They were very useful, but none of them weren't speaking to one another. There was no way for me to, then pass it on, delegate it to someone on my team and say, here, like run this script once a month. I could do it, but it's not very user friendly, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And so, but that was kind of the beginning of it. And the next stage, if I can go into that, unless if you have a question. The next kind of part of the story was actually even cooler. So this is so we had all this scripts, and I was able to execute those scripts, and that's great. But I wanted an actual interface. I wanted to give my team a way to not just interact with those scripts, but also just like an actual. This was my dream for a while, like a real CRM that is custom tailored to CyberUnit and to our needs. And so I ended up then, that's I think when I transitioned to Claude at that point already. And Claude and ChatGPT, they're constantly one-upping each other. It's I think today Codex is considered even better than Claude Code, but that's just a matter of days until Claude catches up. But I ended up transitioning over to Claude Code and essentially creating our own CRM system, our own interface, private CRM system that would allow us to manage all our clients and users and devices, security incidents and reports and assessments, and a fully blown out what started off as a CRM system. Actually, today we call it our operating system. So this is the CyberUnit operating system. It's almost like a turnkey solution that I can hand over to someone that essentially is a manual on how to run our company, and helps you manage and stay on top of everything. And that's been really cool, because there we're actually pulling data from all the different systems, including Wiser, that we're using and relying on. And what we found, we actually had a CRM system where we're using Zoho CRM system. We had like a timesheet project system, project management system. We had a few different systems, and our endpoint security, email security, firewalls, all that data is now getting ingested into the system. And what we found is that because it's so customizable, we were no longer interacting with the actual like third-party systems. We were doing the actual work within our operating system. And so at that point, we actually cut the cord on a few of those systems and let them go. And we were happy to do so. And so there's a few systems that, our SaaS, or like kind of the tech stack that we have, our SaaS library has shrunk over the last 12 months, and will continue to do that. I saw an interesting post on GitHub, or no, sorry, on Reddit the other day, that where people were complaining about IT glue. It's like a documentation system that a lot of MSPs use, and people were complaining about it. And it's great for certain things, but there are some shortcomings. And my first reaction is, why don't you just go and build your own IT glue? And I think we're at a point now where people are starting to realize that you can build just about anything with AI. For us in the MSP space, we have to be very careful, of course. And so I'm very mindful of that. Everything we do is well vetted. I'm doing it myself right now, so I have full control and visibility over it, and we're doing it all privately, so nothing is publicly exposed in the cloud. I think the AI tools that we have available to us I'm well aware that they're also available to the adversary. And so the way I look at things, once it's publicly exposed and online, it's only a matter of time until somebody gets in there. And so we're very, very strict about that, and I just want to mention that. So that's kind of that's kind of where we ended up. We built our own foundation, our own operating system, and then the next iteration and evolution of this project has been to start integrating AI into the mix, and now we can do just about anything and automate almost any workflow because we have full control over this system, and with the tools are available to us, we can do some pretty cool stuff. So one example is, for our security operations, we ingest a lot of data there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of distractions, there's a lot of false positives, and so we're actually able to inspect the data with AI in real time as it's coming through into our system, and triage it to the team as needed and if needed, with added context and information and actionable recommendations that are coming from the latest models out there that really help supercharge our team. And the idea is, Gabi, I think a lot of companies are talking about this now, and there's a lot of conversations around it. For us, the idea is really to not replace our workforce, but to augment AI into our operations, and just like I said, supercharge our team and allow us to do some really cool stuff, and ultimately make us more scalable and make our clients more secure.
I think, first of all, this is an amazing story, and I think you're the future of like what MSPs will look like. I think a lot of people will follow you. A lot of companies will follow this innovation. They like they have to, right? Like if they don't do that, they will basically price themselves out of the competition, because companies like you will be able to provide better service, faster service at a better price. People that have to do things manually won't be able to compete. So it's not about just scaling, it's about preparing the business for the future. Do you think that you need to be like, do you think you have something unique that made you able to start? Like, what's holding back, for example, do you think, other MSPs from doing the same? Because you also hired someone, like, you didn't jump to it until you were sort of pissed that somebody didn't do their job. So what do you think is holding back someone from starting?
It's a great question. I think if I had to guess, a lot of people in the MSP space are scared. We hold on to very sensitive data. We have access to the most sensitive and privileged accounts, and so there's that. There's a risk that a lot of MSPs are kind of maybe just holding off a little bit. Like you see a lot of the headlines, open claw vulnerabilities, a lot of crazy stuff, and it gets you thinking, like, is this the right time? Do I maybe just want to hold off for a bit longer? And so it's great to be an early adopter, but there is definitely risk here if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're utilizing the wrong tools. And sure, whilst you don't want to be an early adopter, you don't also want to be too late to the party, because things are moving really, really fast. And if you're not already experimenting and implementing AI at your company, I think you're already behind. And it's only been, a very short period of time since these tools have become available to us. So I think it's a risk, and that's a legitimate factor. And the other aspect of it might be just not, this is all new, and a lot of people just don't know how to do it. And it's hard. It's not that easy to find someone that you can hire that can do this for you. And so I think you do need to, be willing to experiment and learn and invent things and kind of figure things out for yourself. And one of maybe the reason why I've been successful at it to the degree that I have been is because I'm a bit of a geek, and I didn't delegate this to anyone. I tried, but it didn't work out, and so I ended up having to take ownership over this and do this myself. And I think that it's something that is not that easy to delegate as well, because a lot of people are probably maybe thinking that, hey, if I build this for my boss, this might replace my job. And so they're kind of dragging their feet, or they're not willing to play around and to experiment and to try different things. And in my case, it's something that I really enjoy, and I've taken ownership over it. And it's something that I think my team is also really appreciative of.
I think you made a few good points, and my suggestion to people here. So there's a few ways when people think about AI. One is using AI to build software, like the CRM that you built. I see less risk there, because you're using AI to build a product that runs internally or wherever, just like any other product. Just you're using the power of AI to write the code for you. Again, there's you need to do code reviews and all of those things, but in general, you're not really handling the AI is not handling production data. And then
Yes.
there is AI where you analyze data. That's where you have to be mindful of where do you send that data to be analyzed, because you need to understand what you're doing. So again, there is a party going on, but we still need to understand sort of the moving parts. But that's why sort of I wanted to do this interview, because you can start with small. You can, and that's what happened with you. You just wanted to automate something very, very specific, and your appetite grew as you figured out, like, hey, this is useful. Oh, this is not that hard. And then you started to educate yourself more about this and learned more and expanded, and not only made your business more efficient, you're also more competitive, and you better understand on the risks that are associated, which you can also, by the way, consult your customers about this, because now you have this knowledge, and I'm sure many of them can learn from you, the actual customers. So now you've created yourself potentially another revenue stream of being able to help customers implement stuff like that.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I actually, I spun this off into a separate company actually. So I just launched another company called
Okay.
Aveco with a double K, Aveco.com.
Okay.
Yeah, the sole focus there is AI consulting and automation for companies.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. That actually, I partnered up with another friend of mine who has been in this space for even longer than I have, and is really, really good at this. And he's taken on some contracts and some clients over the last 12 months, and he got really busy. And him and I have been exchanging ideas this past year, and we decided to join forces and try and implement this really cool stuff for other companies that are looking to get involved. And yeah, so if anybody needs help or wants to have a conversation, I'm more than happy to. But I want to go back to one point that you mentioned about data privacy. And that's a constant battle for us, because there's a lot that if we were like a web agency or like an SEO company, it would be a very different story. I would automate everything. But for us in the space that we operate in, we have to be extremely cognizant of the data and what we're sending off to LLMs. And we played around with different options. We looked at some local LLM options, and I think that space will improve over time. But one of the things that we've been successful at is actually using zero retention models. So we're using there's tools out there like AWS Bedrock, where you can actually utilize the latest models like Opus 4.7 and have zero retention, and have full control essentially over your data. Data goes in, data goes out, doesn't get saved or retained anywhere. And that's giving us lots of peace of mind. But beyond that, we're also very good at anonymizing the data before we send it off to LLMs. It's something that I've always been a big fan of, and there are ways to do it. So you just have to be very careful. And with LLMs, I think there's a lot happening. Like, this is all really exciting stuff, but on the topic of cybersecurity, like there's so much happening on the other side, and the attacks that we're starting to see are extremely worrisome. And on the MSP side, I think we're all well aware of it, and we're seeing a lot more attacks, a lot more effective attacks. The phishing emails like that you and I, Gabby, talked about a few years ago. It's getting to the point where even myself, I have to double, triple check emails before I click on anything, because it's just it's getting also almost impossible to tell. And a lot of the emails are actually coming from legitimate senders too that were compromised. And then yeah. So it's keeping us busy. There's a lot of really exciting stuff, and I'm very happy about it. But at the same time, I'm also really concerned that these tools are available on the other side.
I think what you just said about how you understand, like, you're a better fit today to protect many of those businesses, because you understand how those AI works, because you've implemented internally, like you said, with the privacy concerns, with the security concerns, with where this all runs, how to use it, how to anonymize, all of those things. So when you're an MSP or an MSSP for this generation of products that are, many of them are AI based, and a lot of vendors are selling stuff. You need to know this, right? Like, you can't not understand about this topic, because this is what we're dealing with in, day in and day out. So I love that. If somebody wants to contact you, how do they do that?
So Omer at cyberunit.com, OMER at cyberunit.com. You can contact me there. You can you can check out my new company, Aveco, AVEKKO.com. And love to hear from you if you have any questions.
Awesome. So this was sort of, I wanted to do this as a preview to a bigger webinar that we're doing. I think it's in about 2 weeks from now, guys. So if anybody's here listening and they want to, we're going to have a panel, and we're going to talk about this, but more in depth. And we're going to have different vantage points of different people that come in and have experience with this. And again, this is sort of the future. This is where the world is heading, and we just can't avoid it. It is here to stay and to grow. And it's really, how do you harness the power of AI to benefit yourself and to secure your customers? And yeah, I love what you did, and looking forward to talking to you again during this webinar. And yeah, Omer, thank you very much. It was fun talking to you as always, and looking forward for the next time.
Thank you, Gabby. I had a lot of fun too. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye-bye, you too.